Welcome to another edition of YatlifeChronicles, where we're better together than separated. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. Today is a beautiful day, and we just want to politic on habits and formation of habits, just tethering ourselves to the right habits, untethering ourselves to the wrong habits. Our habits are who we are, you know what I'm saying? Depending on our personality create the habits around us. You know, as we wake up every day and we live our life, you know, everything that's within our life, everything that's around us comes from this right here. Comes from our personality, it comes from our habits. But we have to have habits that pushes us further than where we were yesterday. You know, I can recall a time where I had got so depressed in life. I had got so, just burnt out with life. I was in prison. I was locked up. I had lost everything. I had lost my car, lost my crib, lost my woman, lost friends, you know what I'm saying? Had no family there. It was only me. And I had got into the habit of being depressed. I got into the habit of wanting to be just in a state of solitude by myself, just didn't want to talk to nobody, didn't want to confabulate, converse with nobody, didn't want to deal with nobody. All I wanted to do was live in sorrow state of mind. All I wanted to do was just be mad at myself and beat myself up for being in prison, beat myself up for the things that I lost. I had a nice life, and I made a mistake, and all of that was taken away from me. But what I hadn't come to understand is that I had a lesson to learn in order to get back to that life that I was living, or a life better than that. I had a lesson to learn, and I couldn't master the lesson without understanding the teaching first. So when I went to understanding the lesson that was being taught, I had to change up my habits. I had to change up my thinking habits. I had to change up my physical habits. I had to change up habits that I didn't want to. Habits that I had been so tethered to for so long, because these the habits that made me feel good, sitting up, being depressed about what I lost, sitting up, being in sorrow, in pain, in regret, thinking this was the end of my life, but actually it was just the beginning, because I'm thinking that that's what, that material things and the money and things of this nature is what made you, and it was not. You make that. Those things don't make you. You know what I'm saying? Who you truly are comes from the inside. It comes from the heart. No materialistic matter, no monetary epithet, no love from anybody else, anything of that nature can make you who you are. You have to mold your own self into who you are. With your past experiences, with your ups, with your downs, with your hurts, with your pains, with your successes and your downfalls. That's what molds your personality, and that's what molds you into who you are. And sometimes we fall off into negative habits in life, habits that keep us stagnated for days at a time, weeks at a time, months at a time, sometimes years at a time. We can't stay connected to the habits that's not taking us anywhere. We have to place more productive habits in our life. We have to replace the unproductive habits with productive habits in our life. And after you've had a certain habit for 20 years, I know it's hard to get rid of that same habit. But if that habit then only kept you at a certain level in life, then the best thing to do is to tell yourself to something different, something better, you know what I'm saying, that can carry you a little further in life, you know. And when I was in prison, man, and I had to form a new habit of thinking, new habit of ways of doing things, because I didn't want to continue to keep going back to that place, you know. And I had to learn how to develop better habits that can keep me out of prison, for number one, and that can take me to a better place once I came home, you know. And I started tethering myself to, you know, I was always tethered to in the past, you know, being depressed every day, laying in my bunk, didn't want to go in the yard, you know, didn't want to go to the law library, didn't want to do nothing, just lay on my bunk and be depressed from the things that I had lost, from, you know, my girlfriend, to my car, to my home, to my freedom, you know, not being able to see my kids, things of that nature, you know. And like they say with prison, it takes a strong individual to survive, because you gotta be able to deal with all this in there and still being able to thrive mentally, and to be able to just think forward, you know, and know one day you're going home. You know, prison is a place where most people go mentally insane. You know, they break down. It debilitates their mind to the point where they can't, you know, they become lost in there, mentally lost. You know, and I was one of the ones who didn't, because I tethered myself to the right habits, even in there. You know, so out here, you know, I want you guys to start forming some good habits. I want you guys to start forming some prosperous habits. I want you guys to start developing some productive habits. You know what I'm saying? Whatever situation you're in, if it's bad, if it's negative, if it's not carrying you nowhere, then it's time to replace that situation with something better, you know? So, we out of the James Allen, Mind is the Master, and we're going to talk about the formation of habit. Every established mental condition is an acquired habit. Every established mental condition is a required habit. Once your mental then been established in this thing that you just keep doing, whatever that thing is that you just like to do and you always do, that's a habit. When you do it day to day, it's a habit. You know, and it becomes you, and it becomes your personality, it becomes your life. Every established mental condition is an acquired habit, and it has become such by continuous repetition of thought. Despondency and cheerfulness, anger and calmness, covetousness and generosity, indeed, all states of mind are habits built up by your choice, until they have become automatic. You know, so now you just on autopilot. Now, you know, once you have developed the habit in your life, you know, that's why I say we got to be careful about the habits we develop ourselves to, because once we continue to do it, repeat repetitiously over and over and over and over and over and again, we become on autopilot, you know. And when I was in prison and when I was teaching myself to get out of that dormant state of mind that I was in, that indolence, that stillness, that motionless state that I was in, what I did was I was at a tug of war with myself, you know, because I felt better being depressed. I didn't want to get up and push myself no further. You know, I felt like a failure. I'm in prison. I had years to go at a time, you know, and it was just a bad situation that I was in, but I knew I had to get up and I had to push myself forward, because I had kids out there, I had family out there, and I had friends that still loved me, you know. But during the time that I was depressed, I was in a debilitated state of mind, is that I was so depressed that I went to the bathroom one day I went to piss and brown stuff. And I went to the doctor, and they thought it was my gallbladder. I mean, they thought it was not a hernia, ulcer. They thought it was an ulcer. So gave me some medicine, sent me back. My back started hurting. I'm steady pissing brown stuff. So go back to the doctor. They take me to Lansing, take me to McLaren. Come to find out, my gallbladder was bad. They had to take my gallbladder out. And after they took my gallbladder out, I was in the hospital for days. And I got up in the mirror and I was just looking at myself. You know, I was just sitting, talking to myself, just having a conference meeting with myself, and just asking myself, man, is this what I really wanted with my life? You know, I had let my depression and I had let my body go to the point where that was my first surgery. That was the first and last surgery that I ever had, and hopefully I never have to have no more. You know, knock on wood. But I had let myself go to the point where, you know, my body was just deteriorating. You know, because of the mental condition and the formation of that depressed habit that I had established in my mind. So I got up, I was walking around in my room, just talking to myself, looking at myself and thinking about where I came from, where I was at, and where I was going, you know. And I still had probably like 5-6 years to go in prison, you know. And I had told myself that I would commit myself to better habits in life. And one of the first habits that I would commit myself to was start bettering my physical health, you know, because I was in the hospital because I wasn't taking care of myself, you know. So that was one of the first promises that I made. The second promise that I made to myself was that I was going to take care of my mental health, you know, because I knew all that go together. You know, in order for my physical health to be good, my mental health had to be even better. You know, because the body don't tell the mind what to do, the mind tell the body what to do. You know, and I wanted to keep them endorphins flowing, and I wanted to plant seeds in my brain. That's to where my brain could keep growing, and it wouldn't be just a garden of death. You know, so as I got back to I left McLaren Hospital in Lansing, I got back to prison. I was at St. Louis Level 1, gangbang capital. And once I got back there, I was in my unit, man, and I just laid down, took my medicine, the medicine that they gave me, you know, because in prison, you know, the doctors give you a prescription for the real medicine, but I don't know, due to the budget and all that, they give you the fake shit, the generic medicine. So the generic medicine had caused my face to blow up. You know, it looked like somebody had beat me up in my face. You know, and a lot of psychonaut guys that was in prison with me know about this, you know. It looked like, you know, we used to wake up in the morning and brush our teeth and, you know, get ready for trial, and my face had been swelled up that night, you know, after the surgery, and I was on this medication. My face swelled up that night, and it would just be swollen. So I went back to the doctor, and they as soon as they seen my face, they like, oh man, we gotta take you back to McLaren. So they took me back to McLaren, put me on the IV, Benadryl, got the swelling down, and I'm just steady thinking of myself, you know, just steady in that weak state, you know, wanting to be, you know, going through that back and forth to the hospital, being ill, and I want to be home, you know. I just wanted to be home in the bed, you know, as to where, you know, I could have got some real, you know, medical attention, you know, just not some real immediate medical attention and get me gone, you know, not knowing what's really actually was wrong with me. And the swelling got down. I stayed there a couple days at McLaren, and I was sent back to prison. So now, once I sent back to prison, they got me on prednisone. As I'm going through this medical situation, I got a sentencing to go to, because I still had a case that I was dealing with, so I had to go on a writ, And to make a long story short, shorter, the sentence that I got was more than it was like 7.5, 90 months, so I couldn't stay in a level 1 no more. I had to go to a level 4. Because anything over 7 years, you go to a level 4. Anything over 4 years, you go to a level 2. Anything under, you get sentenced to anything under 4 years, you stay at a level 1, So I'm dealing with all this, sick as hell. And I just wanted to get out of there, I didn't want to be there, And so I just was really mentally depressed, I had never went through this kind of depression before in my life. But it taught me something. Just as I was in that weak state, I grew up and became in a strong state as well, because it taught me a lot. But the formation of habits that I had taught myself and the formation of habits that I had tethered myself to was deteriorating my body. It was really breaking me down inside, So as I'm going back and forth to the hospital, I'm toe down, but I'm trying to build myself back up at the same time, And it was hard, being in that submissive position, being in that locked up, isolated position. It was real hard, And that's why I'm thankful that I'm here today. And I have a purpose. That's why I'm with you guys today, because I went through so much in there, and we would get more into a lot of more stories that I went through when I was in prison. But then I was taking prednisone. The prednisone was so strong that they gave me after my surgery was that I started breaking out from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I started breaking out real bad. My skin started shedding, everything. I had to go back to the hospital. Them guys at St. Louis level 1 was with me. They know who they are. They was with me. They can confirm this story. I was going back and forth to the hospital. Man, I was sick. But I had to build myself back up mentally. And as I went back and forth to the hospital room and I kept looking in that mirror, seeing my face deteriorating and seeing me lose weight and seeing my skin color I was doing bad, and telling myself, you are somebody, you got to get that confidence back. You need that self-esteem back, you need that. You need that identity. You need an identity. You need to start building yourself up. You need to find a purpose, so your mind can be stimulated by it. So I told myself once I got from being ill on that bunk, I would get out in the weight pit. I work out every day. I always take care of my body. And once I take care of my body, I go to the library and I'll take care of my mind later on that day. I didn't care. They only give us a library call out 3 days a week. I listen. I ain't even had no itinerary. I sneak in the library. I done got so many tickets and had to be on LOP from sneaking in that library, learning knowledge and reading and learning case law and everything. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I had to take care of myself, and I didn't care about no tickets. I didn't care about this. I didn't care about that. It was about my mental health, and it was about my physical health at that time. And it was about me forming some good habits in my life that I could stick to that would help build me up instead of take me and break me down. Because I had been broken down to my lowest point, to the point where I couldn't be broke down no more. I was there alone by myself. I had lost everything. I didn't have nobody there for me. Didn't have no family. Didn't have no friends. It was just me. And I had to go through that alone. But one thing it taught me is it taught me how to stand alone, and it taught me how to be independent, mentally and physically, and not to be, not to look towards a crutch, or not to, be dependent on others, to be independent, self-sufficient. you know. So I just want, so as I started learning these new habits, I started to like them. I started to get addicted to them. I started to teach myself discipline, you know, going to the weight pit every morning. As I got out that bunk, going to the weight pit every morning. I mean, being sick, and I was in the child line, man, and I was looking at all these healthy guys, man. They skin look good, man. They healthy. Their body look good, man. They brain on point. I envy that. You know what I'm saying? That was inspiration to me. And I told myself, when I get back healthy, when I get back well enough, that will be me. And that's the habit of thinking that I tethered myself to. That's the habit, that's the formation of thought that I connected myself in. Because I knew what it felt like, man, to not be you, man, people was talking about my skin, man. We sit at the child hall table, man, guys would crack a joke on my skin and everything, my skin peeling and everything, my homeboys cracking jokes on me and everything. You know what I'm saying? So I know what it feel like to be in that position, that debilitated position. And I had to build myself up. I had to build my confidence back up. I had to build my self-esteem up. On top of what I had lost, being away from my fam, everything, going through this surgery, going through all this case shit, getting more time. I mean, man, it was crazy. It was crazy, but I made it through. And the only reason I made it through is that I changed my formation of habits, And so with you guys, that's the lesson for us, is that I want you guys just to change your formation of habits to positive, healthy habits as to where it can pull you out that rut that you in. A thought constantly repeated at last becomes a fixed habit of mind, and from such habit proceeds the life. It is in the nature of the mind to acquire knowledge by the repetition of its experiences. And them help us form different habits in life, the different experiences we go through in life that help us form certain habits, from things we done seen, things we done been through, our experiences, our downfalls, our ups. All these are experiences that help us form habits, you know what I'm saying, whether they're good or whether they're bad. The thing is, to my viewers, I want us to be able to form some productive habits where we can move further than where we was at yesterday. If we trying to be great, if we really trying to get somewhere in life, what happens is that we got to keep moving up every day. We better together, separated. We got to stay on each other. As friends, as family, we got to pick up the phone. We got to call each other. Hey, what I seen you doing yesterday, hey, you need to do this. You need to do this a little better. Help people to form new and better habits sometimes. Because a lot of people don't know how to, a person have a habit and don't even know they have it, because they've been on autopilot for so long, and it's been automatic for so long. So sometimes we have to listen to our friends, we have to listen to our family, we have to listen to people when they trying to help us to develop better, and when they trying to help renovate us. Renovate us, reinvent us, when they trying to help turn us into something better. Sometimes we have to take that and run with it. A lot of people in this world don't want to listen. I'm a sponge. I suck up game everywhere I go, because I don't know everything, and it's about what you learn after you know everything that count. Because if you know everything, then no one can teach you anything, and there's too much going on in this world for a person to know everything, and like I said, we just have to be there for each other, be able to pass the game down from one to the other. We don't know everything. We have to convert ourselves into being a sponge and sucking up this game. It's a lot of game that's being offered. I'll be on YouTube all the time learning. You know, trying to study advanced, study trying to move my brand further, study just learning, study being autodidactic. You know, and that word is, it's one of my favorite words, autodidactic. Auto means one, didactic means self-taught. So at the end of the day, you know, we got to self-teach ourselves a lot of things. You know, we got to self-teach ourselves good habits. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be able to push us further and push us along as to where, you know, our life will be better than where it was yesterday, you know. And that's just what it's about, prosperity, being able to prosper. You know, calculating momentum, moving with the chaos. Everything ain't going to be peaceful, you know. Sometimes you have to move with the chaos. But the whole thing is to form good habits, you know what I'm saying? Long as those habits taking you where you need to be in life and they're not keeping you stagnant, they're not keeping you stationary in the same place year after year, month after month, you know what I'm saying, as to where you unhappy, as to where you unsatisfied in life. You know, so at the end of the day, I want us to tether ourselves to beautiful, enhancing, and just better habits, as to, like I said, as to where it'll propel us forward. You know, I didn't want to take up much of your time today, but I did want to get on here and just edify y'all on formation of habit and being able to stay away from the habits that's not taking us nowhere, the unproductive habits. You know, so this is another edition of Yacht Life Chronicles where we're better together than separated. Thank you for tuning in.